Ah, Gen 2, my beloved, and arguably the real start of Pokémon as we know it today. Game Freak used this generation to implement so many things that would become standards for all of their games going forward. They added 2 new types and cemented the type matchups, which would remain the way they are until the Fairy type is introduced in Gen 6. They gendered the Pokémon, implemented breeding, included a day and night cycle with a real-world clock and time-based encounters, split the special stat into special attack and defense, introduced shinies, held items, included a post-game, which was an entire second region and a super boss, and while not in Gold and Silver, Crystal let you choose your player's gender. The only thing these games were missing was a healthy level curve and better Pokemon availability. I'm looking forward to playing through this region, fresh off of the nostalgic but buggy first gen. With the setup completed, we take our first steps as Sol the Fourth and are promptly stopped by Mama. She hands us a Pokegear, add that to the list of cool additions, and tells us to meet Professor Elm next door to help him with an errand. In order to run our little errand for Elm, we choose Oregano the Chikorita to be our partner. Chikorita is by far the worst starter amongst the 3 we can choose from in Johto, and maybe just in general. With that in mind, I thought it might be best to pick them first and get the Chikorita line banned sooner rather than later. With Oregano in tow, we make our way through to Cherry Grove and get a little tour before moving on to Mr. Pokemon's house. We receive what we came for, a Pokemon egg, and then get a Pokédex from Oak before heading back out. The suspicious individual lingering outside the lab that we ignored earlier turns out to be a thief, so we make a beeline for New Barktown. Before we can get there, we run into the man of the hour. With a name obscured, our soon-to-be rival challenges us with his freshly stolen Cyndaquil. Keeping in mind the abysmal matchup, I intentionally gave Oregano a level prior to this battle to ensure we'd win. We trade tackles, and thanks to a berry topping us up, soundly defeat the trainer. Back at the lab, we let the Popo know that we kicked Silver's ass and promptly deliver the egg. With the Pokeballs the assistant gives us, this run is on. Our first level cap is a measly 9 ahead of a battle with Violet's gym leader, so we really don't have much room to grow. We do, however, have a handful of encounters to comb through until then. Right off the bat, we find and capture G the Pidgey on Route 29. On Route 30, we are once again blessed with a Caterpie, this time named Butters! Who would have thought? I am the pinnacle of creativity. The 3 receive some very brief training, mostly so G and Butters can defeat Pokemon on their own, and then we progress to Route 31. Without the sun setting or a rod, we have no valid encounters here. Instead, we enter the Dark Cave and subsequently find and kill our Zubat encounter. Butters has no chill apparently. After this, it finally dawns on me that I skipped Route 45 and head back to catch someone. Butters evolves into Metapod, and we eventually find and catch Pebbles the Geodude. With this capture, our chances of beating the Flying-type gym skyrocket. Pebbles trains a bit to catch up, and we finally make our way to Violet City. Pebbles is the most vital member of our team ahead of this gym battle, so he takes point as we challenge the gym trainers and then train to the cap. Everyone trains until they're just about to hit level 10. This is especially important for Pebbles as he is now as strong as possible to handle Pidgeotto on the level up after defeating Falkner's lead Pidgey. With all of our preparations done, we challenge the leader and get the battle underway. Pebbles is the lead, but I immediately pivot into G to dodge the inevitable Mud Slap. G and Falkner's Pidgey trade gusts and tackles until G uses its berry and finally nabs the KO. When Pidgeotto was sent out, I open with Sand Attack and then pivot into Pebbles. I then start switching back and forth to dodge Mud Slap, apply more sand, and ultimately PP stall Mud Slap. Oregano has a close call along the way, but once that's done, Pebbles is free to switch in and chip away until we net the win. Butters evolves into Butterfree, and we see the level cap jump to 16. Elm calls and lets us know that we'll take ownership of the egg. Togepi makes many appearances going forward, and I don't think that now is the best time to use one, so the egg will not come into play. Since we hadn't climbed it beforehand, the team takes on Sprout Tower. With the Sages mostly using Bellsprout, G and Butters make the climb effortless. We see Silver make a show of beating the Elder and learn that he has no sense of companionship with his little critters before we challenge the Elder ourselves. G blows the first Bellsprout away and Pebbles slowly but safely defeats Hoot Hoot. Butters gets one confusion in and defeats the final Bellsprout, and we are awarded with the Flash HM. Before we leave, we find and kill another Ghastly encounter. Oops. Since the sun is set, we head back to Route 31 and catch Arachnis the Spinarak. Arachnis trains a bit to close the gap before we move on to Route 32 and catch Lil Chef the Rattata. The ample supply of trainers here nets the team, mostly Oregano, really good XP before we make the trek through Union Cave. This freak tries to sell us a Slowpoke tail at a price we can't even obtain in this game, so we say no and get called poor. Nice. In the cave proper, the team makes even more progress. We find and capture Pincushion the Sand Shrew, Oregano evolves into Bayleaf, and we make it to the other side of the cave. We skip past Route 33 for now, leaving the trees open for headbutting in the near future. Instead, we speak with the Apperball maker, Kurt, and get our first entanglement with Team Rocket out of the way. Turns out they're the Slowpoke Tail thieves. I guess that means the seller from before was undercover? None of the grunts end up being a problem for our gang, so we get to battling the Azalea gym trainers next. The Bug-type gym once again gives Pebbles an opportunity to shine alongside G. With the trainers defeated, the team still has a couple levels left to earn, so we get to training. Inside the Slowpoke well again, we find and catch Tempura the Slowpoke. The egg gets boxed in favor of Tempura, who will be a solid addition to the team, particularly as an answer for Silver's Cyndaquil. Training is completed without issue, and I challenge Bugsy with G and Pebbles right under level 17. Pebbles leads against Metapod. Rock Throw misses a one-shot thanks to Harden, and Tackle can't nab the KO afterwards either, so we take 1 point of damage before it finally goes down. Kakuna ends up going almost exactly the same way. Scyther, on the other hand, goes down to a single Rock Throw with its quad weakness to Rock, and badge number 2 is ours. The level cap makes another small leap to 20, but before we can do anything else, we have a battle with Silver on our hands. I start with Butters against Ghastly, and Confusion is an Oko. The problematic Quilava is next, but Pebbles is able to one-shot with a magnitude 7. Zubat lands Supersonic, and we do a bit too much to ourselves in Confusion, so I switch into G, who handles Zubat with a couple of gusts. Silver reveals some of his motivations by shit-talking Team Rocket to hell and back, and we finally progress into the Ilex Forest. We capture Echo the Zubat as our encounter here, and receive our next side quest. Help this apprentice find his master's Pokémon. As a reward for helping get Farfetch'd back, we get the HM for Cut and teach it to Pincushion, who joins us in Arachnus' place. Arachnus was borderline useless, and Pincushion isn't just here for Cut this time, I promise. Don't worry about why he isn't in the thumbnail. After getting deeper into the forest, we grab the TM for Headbutt, which unlocks a subset of encounters on various routes and towns. Tempura learns Headbutt, and we go right back to Route 33, where we knock Dex the Apom out of a tree. In Azalea Town, we use Headbutt and find a Pineco who self-destructs and crit one-shots Butters. That's our first death of Gen 2, and the earliest we've ever lost a teammate in a leg. Welcome back on board, Arachnus. We missed you. Might as well try to carry you through to the end and get your line banned early, I suppose. Oregano could use the company. We get through Ilex Forest after this loss and take the trainers of Route 34 on, leading to G evolving into Pidgeotto. Goldenrod City has tons going on. First, we head to the department store and get our hands on a bunch of invaluable TMs, including Return. Then we challenge the Goldenrod gym trainers. The normal type gym is home to Whitney, the bane of many children with her Miltank. She's going to require serious preparation. With the gym trainers down, I grab a bicycle and head to Route 35 where training continues. Our encounter for the route is the elusive Abra, and thanks to a Hail Mary Great Ball throw before it can teleport, we're able to add spoons to our ranks. The underground portion of the city is next on the to-do list, where we find the coin case. The prizes in the game corner here might be useful, but I don't plan on going out of my way for them, this time. Despite its general uselessness, I've grown pretty attached to Arachnus, so we head back to Ilex Forest and get some serious training in. Remembering that we never caught anything here, I use Headbutt on Route 34 and catch Sunnyside the Execute before we resume the grind. Everyone except Pincushion is trained to the level cap, and I decide there's no better time than now to challenge Whitney. G leads against Clefairy and is able to take it out with a few gusts. I immediately pivot into Pebbles when Miltank is sent out and use Defense Curl once to try and stave off the rollouts, peppering in damage with Magnitude in between. Unfortunately for Pebbles, Miltank doesn't miss a single time, and the 5th consecutive rollout takes Pebbles out. Pebbles was the MVP of the run to this point. That is a massive loss. Oregano is the next to take the Bovine Titan on, and I'm able to use both Reflect and Poison Powder despite the Attract. I then send Tempura out, who I'm hoping can tank with a combo of Curse and Reflect. It gets dangerously close, but the Curse boosted Headbutt and Poison damage net us the win. Pebbles' death here on the bright side does leave us the chance to use the mighty Geodude line in a future title, but man did that death sting. The level cap increases to 25, and in Pebbles' place, we add Spoons to the team. Spoons and Pincushion are both in desperate need of training, so that's exactly what we do. After kitting Spoons out with the elemental punches that we bought before, Spoons evolves into Kadabra in no time at all, and eventually the two catch up to the rest of the team. I go ahead and bust the link cable out to trade in Evolve Spoons straight into Alakazam, another massive early power spike for the team. We head to the National Park next, probably my favorite place in the entire region because of its immaculate vibes, and catch Flora the Sunkern. Sorry buddy, Oregano was already taking residence as the ill-fated Grassmon on our team. On Route 36 we used the Squirt Bottle and failed to catch Sudowoodo. Probably shouldn't have used Poison Powder. Ecruteak City is our next destination, and we challenge the Kimono Girls right away, gunning for the Surf HM. Each one uses an evolution, including the newly added Espeon and Umbreon, at level 17 across the board, so our party of level 20-somethings is able to handle them with relative ease. Spoons gets to flex its fully evolved power on the gym trainers in the Ecruteak gym, defeating the Gastly Haunter without breaking a sweat. The gym leader Morty has a fully evolved beast of his own, so the team definitely has to grind to the cap before we can safely take him on. And what better way to grind than a battle with our rival? Silver starts with a Haunter, so Spoons repeats its gym trainer performance. Thanks to Supersonic and Sonic Boom, Pincushion and Arachnus have a terrible time, but ultimately come out on top against Magnemite. Spoons handles Zubat with Psybeam, and Tempura is the play for Quilava. Surf is a 2-hit KO, taking minimal damage from Ember in between. The team gets the remainder of their training done, and Arachnus evolves into Ariados. Not far behind, Pincushion evolves into Sandslash, and the team is ready for Morty. Spoons goes up first against Morty's Gastly and gets a quick Psybeam KO, leveling up to 26. Psybeam is also an OHKO on Haunter, and the Ace Gengar is sent out. I pivot into G, avoiding the Shadow Ball, and then start blinding Gengar before switching to Gust and eventually getting the KO. This went even better than I could have hoped. G took no damage at all. When the final Haunter is sent out, I swap to Pincushion and dig one-shots, netting us badge number 4. Our level cap increases to 30, and we have a couple of choices on where to head next. Instead of heading west to Route 38, I decide to go east to Mahogany Town. The level caps are a bit all over the place between gyms 5, 6, and 7, and the team could easily end up over-leveled if I'm not careful. Team Rocket is up to no good in Mahogany, and they provide an opportunity to grow the team without unnecessary grinding in between. On Route 42, we run into and catch Ariel the Goldeen. We make it to Mahogany after taking some trainers on, and then head to the Lake of Rage. I see Silver's been here too, roasting the guy for having a Nidoking of all things. In the center of the lake, we take on the shiny Gyarados, who we actually managed to catch and name Unagi. Back on shore, we encounter a familiar face, the Elite Four's Lance. Lance asks for our help in dealing with the Rockets, and we quickly get our mission underway. That guy getting mollywopped by Dragonite never gets old. Most of the grunts aren't packing too much heat, so we make it to the main chambers fairly easily. Silver has a temper tantrum after picking the wrong trainer to battle, idiot, and we get into a battle with the nameless Rocket Executive. Pincushion's rollout takes Zubat and Raticate out before missing Coughing. Dig finishes the job right after, and Pincushion reaches the level cap. We learn the password to get into the control room, thanks Murkrow, and are challenged by the second executive. She kinda looks like Silver. I wonder. Anyway, Tempura starts off against her Arbok, but its bite does major damage. I swap into Spoons, who tanks it better, and Psybeam finishes it off. Ice Punch one-shots Murkrow, and I use Thunder Punch on the Gloom that follows it up for some reason. I switch into G after that blunder and finish it off with Gust. In order to finish the job here, we have to defeat 3 Electrode. I'm terrified of them blowing up, so I lead with Pincushion, and thankfully he's able to tank the self-destruct that inevitably occurs. Lance gives us the HM for Whirlpool, and we're able to get back to our gym conquest. Despite being poorly suited for it, the team takes on the Ice-type gym trainers while we're here. It's a struggle, but Spoons was always there to bail the rest of the team out as necessary. With just the gym leader left, I leave. We'll be back for him soon enough. We head west past Ecruteak to Route 38 and ultimately Olivine City. The team grows further against the plethora of trainers leading to Olivine and those in the Olivine Lighthouse. At the top, we're tasked with finding medicine for Amphi by Olivine's gym leader Jasmine. This fetch quest leads us through routes 40 and 41 to Cianwood City, home of Chuck, the fighting-type gym leader. We get the secret potion and challenge the Cianwood gym. The fighting types are no match for Spoons, who clears the gym trainers with Psybeam and reaches the cap. I decide to forego grinding the remaining team members and challenge Chuck right away. Spoons gets an OHKO on the lead Primeape, and Thunder Punch does well over half to Poliwrath, who nails Dynamic Punch, which confuses. I switch into Oregano but also get hit with Dynamic Punch. I then pivot into Tempura and get hit with a third Dynamic Punch. This move is supposed to have 50 accuracy. What is happening right now? I decide to tough it out, and we are able to secure the win with 2 Shadow Balls, earning us badge number 5. The level cap goes up to 35, but I'm not going to challenge the Olivine gym yet. Instead, I head back to Mahogany, train until the team reaches level 31, and then we challenge Price, the 7th gym leader. Spoons leads again, and Thunder Punch is a crit one-shot on Seal. Thunder Punch is a 2-hit KO on Dugong, and I pivot into Tempura to take on the Ace Piloswine. Surf does massive damage, and we take a couple Fury attacks before finishing it off with another Surf. Badge number 7 is ours, and now we head back to Olivine and deliver the medicine for Amphi. With that problem solved, Jasmine heads back to the gym, and we challenge her with our team as is at level 31. Jasmine uses the newly introduced Steel type, so Pincushion is the man of the hour. Dig one-shots her first Magnemite, and Steelix is sent out. Dig does about a quarter, and Iron-Tail crits for massive damage. I pivot into Tempura and just miss out on a KO with Surf. Jasmine uses Sunny Day to weaken our water moves, and then heals with a Hyper Potion. I set up Curse to tank Iron-Tail better and whittle away at Steelix with Surf. Things aren't looking good, so I pivot into Arachnus and then Oregano, who sets up Reflect. Steelix is pulling a Poliwrath and refuses to miss with the inaccurate Iron-Tail. Eventually I play the pivot game, hoping for a clean switch in when I decide to risk it all and get Tempura in, who finishes Steelix with Surf, clinging to life with just 5 HP. On the final Magnemite, Pincushion is able to come in and finish the battle with Dig. I regret all of my life choices. I should have trained! At least no one died. Since we already beat Price, the level cap skips past 31 and increases to 40. Upon leaving the gym, we receive a phone call from Professor Elm letting us know that Team Rocket's scheme is in full swing. We head to Goldenrod's radio tower and work on dismantling their operation. Oregano evolves into Meganium as we make our way to the director's office and find an executive imposter assuming the role of the director. This guy runs an unhinged party of coughing and wheezing, repping their beloved self-destruct. Spoons is unbothered as he uses Psybeam to wipe all of them out, and we're directed to the underground to find the real director. Before we can complete the rescue mission, Silver challenges us to a character-defining battle. Arachnus starts things off against Silver's Golbat, so I immediately pivot into Pincushion. Confused Ray halts our plans, so I switch into G, who trades blows until a crit wing attack drops into 12 HP. Why is this Golbat such a menace? Pincushion is able to come back out and eventually KO with Rollout. Sneasel is up next and Rollout one-shots. Magnemite nearly goes down to Rollout but lands Sonic Boom before Rollout number 5 hits and finishes it. I send Tempura out to deal with Quilava. Surf handily gets the job done. Silver's Haunter is last, and Tempura is able to finish it with Shadow Ball after it cuts its own HP in half with Curse. With Silver learning something and leaving, our mission is resumed and we eventually make it to the real director, who gives us access to the rest of the radio tower. Only the best of Team Rocket's ranks are left to stop us, including several executives. The first executive challenges us with a single level 36 Golbat. Arachnus and Spoons are able to take it out, and we move on to Silver's mom. In my haste, I forgot to change Arachnus from the lead position, so we immediately switch into Tempura. Tempura is locked down by Wrap and takes massive damage from Bite, but a crit Surf does just as much. Another Surf just misses out on a KO, and the Bite Rat combo lowers us to 11 HP before we KO Arbok with Shadow Ball. I try to switch when Murkrow is sent out, but it pursuit traps us and kills Tempura! I can't believe that a competitive staple is what does another member in. Well played, Team Rocket. G comes in and uses Fly to avenge his fallen ally. Vileplume is last and goes down to Fly. Following the loss of the stalwart Tempura, we regroup and Ariel takes his place. I grab the EXP share and start training Ariel before we can finish Team Rocket off. Route 44 is open to us, so the trainers there get the ball rolling. We clear any trainers we missed on the lake and various routes, and eventually make our way through the ice path to Blackthorn City, saving us the trouble when we go back and defeat the final Rocket. The routes below Blackthorn provide us with more trainers to defeat, and eventually Ariel evolves into Seeking, so we go right back to the radio tower and get things over with. Ariel leads against Houndour and Waterfall one-shots. Waterfall hits twice to KO Coughing, and Houndoom is sent out last. Surf does massive damage, and Waterfall finishes the battle. This was for you, Tempura. Spoons the Gym Killer takes the lead as we go straight to the Blackthorn Gym. Ice Punch and Thunder Punch wreak havoc on the Dragon-type gym trainers, who use a combination of the Horsey and Dratini lines. The team rounds out their training on any trainers left, G evolves into Pidgeot, and the team reaches the cap. Time to battle Claire. Spoons continues the punch strategy and takes out the 3 Dragonair with Ice Punch. The menace Kingdra is last. First, I switch Oregano in to set up Reflect. Kingdra knows Hyper Beam after all. Then, I switch into Arachnus and try to deal damage and poison with Stab Sludge Bomb. It does just under half, but I pivot into Aerial because of the smokescreen stacking up. I land Icy Wind, lowering its speed, and send Oregano back out when Reflect fades. We eat a Hyper Beam on the switch and try to KO with Razor Leaf. It isn't enough, so Claire is able to heal. Body Slam paralyzes, which is huge for us. I set up Reflect again and start hammering away with Razor Leaf, getting 2 crits and ending the battle. Claire is a sore loser and doesn't give you the badge right away, so we head into the Dragon's Den and get the badge after finding a Dragon's Fang. The level cap increases to 46, and we have a long road ahead of us before we can challenge the league and wrap this leg up. Heading east from New Barktown, we enter Kanto and start the trek into the Indigo Plateau. The horde of trainers provide tons of XP for the team, and we make it to Victory Road before long. The cave features no trainers this time around. This should be an easy run to the end. We can just take on the wild encounters to speed the grind up. What just happened? Pincushion, no! I can't believe this is how we lose another teammate, so close to the finish line! With this death, we are now tied for the worst performance of the series at 4. If we lose anyone else, I don't know what I'll do. With a heavy heart, we replace Pincushion with Dex, and train it up a bit before slapping the EXP share onto her and re-entering Victory Road. We get through the cave with no trouble now that Pincushion is dead, I guess, and eventually run into Silver. Silver leads with Sneasel against Ariel, who does next to no damage before going down to 2 Surfs. Magneton is sent out next, and I would send out Pincushion here, but instead Oregano with Earthquake is the play, getting the Yoko. I send G in to deal with Golbat and nearly one-shot with Return before getting confused. G powers through and KOs the next turn. I use a combination of Mudslap and Fly to KO Haunter, and switch into Oregano when Kadabra is sent out. Earthquake is a crit one-shot, and Typhlosion is sent out. Ariel tanks Flame Wheel and Future Sight, and crit one-shots with Surf. A crit heavy way to kill Silver's dreams, but I needed the catharsis. The team grinds up, and we are eventually ready to take on the Elite Four. First up is the Psychic user Will. I lead with Spoons, and Thunder Punch one-shots both Xatu. I check how much damage we do with Thunder Punch on Jinx, but then Jinx crits us with Ice Punch. I pivot into Dex, who finishes it with Strength. Executor takes under half from Fire Punch, and then nearly one-shots with Psychic. G comes in and handles it better before getting the KO with a crit return. Will's last Pokemon is Slowbro, who starts to set up Curse as I switch into Oregano. Razor Leaf is a 2-hit KO, and the battle is won. Next up, the Fuchsia Gym Leader turned Elite Four member Koga is next. His Ariados goes down to Fly from G despite setting up Double Team. Forretress is next. It sets up Spikes, and I use Detect, fearing Explosion. I switch into Dex next, and Fortress starts using Swift. I misclick Rock Smash for nothing damage, but get the KO with Fire Punch right after. Spoons comes out to tank Venomoth's Psychic, KOing with his own in return. Muck also goes down to Psychic, and Crobat is finally sent out, going down to one last Psychic. 2 down, no deaths. Looking good so far. Bruno is next, moving from 2nd to 3rd on the E4 lineup. Surprising no one, Spoons is the lead. Psychic one-shots Hitmontop. Onix goes down to Ice Punch. Machamp is sent out early and goes down to Psychic. Hitmonlee follows it up to no avail, and finally Hitmonchan comes out and Psychic does its thing. Our 4th opponent is Karen, the Dark-type trainer. Umbreon is an annoying lead, so I get Dex to start things off. The goal is to lower its defense with Rock Smash and hopefully KO with Stab Strength. Rock Smash connects thrice with no stat reductions, and we're confused. We continue to hit and not get any defense drops, so I switch into G. G is able to KO from this range with Return, and Gengar is sent out next. Mudslap lowers its accuracy, and it uses Spite, lowering our chances to use it. I finish it off with Fly next. Murkrow is sent out and is one-shot by Return. G is going crazy in this battle. Houndoom is sent out, so I switch into Ariel. Ariel tanks Flamethrower, but is dropped low by Crunch. Surf doesn't one-shot, so I switch into Dex fearing a KO, and Dex gets KO'd by Crunch instead. Whoops. Sorry, bud. G gets even with Return, and Vileplume is sent out last. Fly doesn't get the KO, so we're paralyzed by Stun Spore. Moonlight restores some health, and we're too paralyzed to hit. Petal Dance does a little damage, and a crit return finishes the battle. That could have gone better, but Karen was always going to be the hardest of the 4 to battle, so I'm not too bothered. At last, our final battle of the leg. We step up to the arena and challenge Lance. Thunder Punch from Spoons is an instant KO on Gyarados. Dragonite number 1 goes down to Ice Punch next. Dragonite number 2 follows suit. Aerodactyl is sent out and uses Hyper Beam on Oregano. I'm able to use Reflect while it recharges, and then send Ariel in, who KOs with 2 Surf attacks. Dragonite number 3 is sent out next, and Ariel tanks Outrage with 5 HP before landing Icy Wind. I switch into Arachnus to preserve Ariel, but Stab Sludge Bomb wasn't enough, and it goes down to the Outrage. Spoons comes back out, and Lance's full restore delays the inevitable Ice Punch. Lance sends out Charizard, and it survives the Thunder Punch to use Hyper Beam, but another punch ends the battle. With a grand total of 6 deaths, this leg is complete. The Chikorita, Pidgey, Spinarak, Abra, Goldeen, and Apom lines are now officially banned. But we're not really done yet, are we? The level cap increases to 75, and we make our way through Kanto's gyms in order to challenge our first post-game super boss, Red. Let's see if our 4 surviving members have what it takes to overcome this challenge. The inclusion of the entire Kanto region, albeit in a slightly neutered form, is one of the reasons I look back at these games so fondly. Our team continues to become all-powerful as we defeat one gym leader after another on our way to Mount Silver, and we have 16 badges in no time. At the summit, we approach the trainer and have one last battle. Oregano starts things off against the level 81 Pikachu, and Earthquake, unsurprisingly, is an Oko. Venusaur sent out next, and we take turns setting up screens and Solar Beam. Solar Beam does basically no damage after I switch into G. Return does over half, and Venusaur sets up the Sun one turn too late. Return KOs right after. Blastoise is sent out, so I switch into Oregano and get hit by Blizzard, weakened by our light screen. It fades, so I set it up again as Blastoise uses Rain Dance. I use Giga Drain for over half and offset the damage taken as Blizzard connects a second time. The enemy has perfect accuracy when it matters most. Giga Drain KOs Blastoise afterwards. Charizard is sent out next, so I switch into Spoons. Wing Attack does under half, so I'm able to stay in and use Thunder Punch, which is close to an Oko. Wing Attack connects again, but we're living, and then Charizard with another Thunder Punch. I pivot into G when Espeon is sent out, who uses Reflect. Return does under half thanks to Reflect, and Psychic does a whole lot more in response. I use Detect, avoiding Psychic, and then use Fly, avoiding Psychic again. Fly does decent damage, but Psychic connects, and finally G is downed. I send Spoons out and Reflect fades, which is what I was stalling for, and Ice Punch KOs Espeon. Snorlax is all that stands in our way now. I send Ariel out, who's paralyzed by Body Slam. Snorlax starts using Amnesia, but I use Attract, rizzing this beast into a standstill. I follow it up with Toxic as the love keeps Snorlax from attacking. We're fully paralyzed, and Snorlax forgets its feelings to hit Body Slam twice, killing Ariel. Oregano is sent back out and I set up Reflect. Body Slam is way more manageable now, and I start using Earthquake, hoping that it and the Toxic damage are enough. A second Earthquake connects, and Snorlax hangs on, hitting Body Slam one last time before going down to Toxic. What started as 4 is reduced to 2, but Red has been defeated by the survivors of the Gold Run. See you guys again in the game that started it all for me, Pokémon Silver.